own White House correspondent. More on the Biden ending here, which seems to be getting worse by the minute. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the pulse of an age. Mike Cody will be coming up in the next hour talking about New Hampshire skiing. They're kicking it off, trying to get it off in a big way. They've had some advantage of Mother Nature with colder weather and some snow. We are getting some snow a little bit, probably overnight into tomorrow night, that is. Maybe a little this afternoon, but more like tomorrow night into Thursday. Not a lot in the central southern tier, but maybe hopefully more in the North Country. Back on the Pulse of an Age in a moment. All right, J-Dog, as we bring in one of our political analysts and all-stars, Brad Carter. Quick question for you, Dog, in our 6-hour studios. So Friday was Black Friday shopping. Yesterday, Monday was Cyber Monday, and today is Giving Tuesday. So it's just a commonsensical gene I have. Who in their right mind decided after all the spending on Friday, $13 billion yesterday, and you're going to ask people to give money today to nonprofits? Who decided to do that today? Did that make sense? Does it make sense? Wait till a couple Tuesdays from now. All right, Brad Card, in Washington, by the way, 30 degrees for a high this morning, right? What are you talking about? This is justice is fair across the board. It's not a joke. It's an insult. Why did it take so long to prosecute him? But if they do, they go to jail, right? No, 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 no. I Brad, 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 why did it take so long to prosecute Hunter Biden? Why? The IRS knew about the tax crap years ago, and the whistleblower who paid back his taxes? A Hollywood producer paid him back. He wasn't prosecuted because his father was the vice president. His father was vice president. Going back to 2014 for all crimes against the U.S. But do you think do you think he'll pardon his brother and himself before he leaves, Joe Biden? Oh, I know what you're going to say. Oh, Donald Trump says you pardon him, but you won't pardon the January 6 offenders. Okay. Before you go to that though, because you always say two wrongs don't make a right. Why wasn't Hillary Clinton ever prosecuted? No, but you don't concede that within the Justice Department in recent years, there's an apparent to most people who work for a living bias to prosecuting, letting Democrats go free in Washington and not going after Republicans. And now Trump comes in and says, "I'm going to go after my opponents and enemies," and everyone jumps up and down and doesn't. I'm just saying. Do you think that James Comey? I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying Robert Mueller, Russia collusion, James Comey. You're saying that the federal Justice Department 2 year special. How did that prosecution, the whole alleged? No, no, no. I know, but Why was there a special prosecution on alleged Russia collusion? What was the evidence? It was lie. It was the Pfizer warrants were based on crap, and the FBI 2 years. I don't blame you for saying it's. Yeah, I'm looking at what just happened. I don't look at the people. No, the people who've been convicted, and how many are we talking? They were charged through the courts, and I'm not saying what should happen to them. What I'm saying is what happened. The most egregious violence at the Capitol was wrong on January 6th. Anytime you have violence or loss of life or death, that's wrong. But what I'm saying is the what people have glossed over on that day was the 200,000 people outside who did not commit all those offenses. And Jen, yeah, you're more upset about Trump. You're more upset. You're more upset about Trump saying that than you are about Biden pardoning his son after lying to the American people. No, you know what? I don't think he was. I don't think he. No, 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 no. There's a difference. There's a difference here. I don't think he was actually wrong. I think he shouldn't have lied to the American people. I think if he came out and said, "Look, I know I said I wasn't going to interfere. I know I said I wasn't going to pardon him. I've lost a couple kids. I'm sorry. I'm going to break my word and not keep my word with you. Call me a liar. He's my son. I don't want him going to prison. I'm going to pardon him because I'm president for a few more weeks. You may not like it, but blood's thicker than a lot of things, and I did not tell you the truth, and I'm sorry." That would have been acceptable to me. Yeah. What is what does this do? Is this a Joe Biden legacy problem, Brad Card and Associates, or does this spill over and hurt sort of the disarray after what happened in that election in terms of who the bench and who the leaders are coming up in the Democrat Party? Is this just a Biden on the way out? No, no. You know what it is, Brad? People like you don't understand that people think Washington sucks in this country. No, no, no. I don't know if you do. I don't know if you do. I think people in this country look at Washington and what's happened with the money, the corruption, the greed, people like Nancy Pelosi becoming rich from public service. No con Yeah. And do you do you think he's ever benefited? Do you think he's ever look at Martha Stewart was convicted by a jury in James Comey with no evidence that she had insider trading. They just said she lied and they convicted her. She did 5 months. There's no evidence at all that Pelosi's husband ever benefited from insider trading. There's no evidence that Nancy Pelosi's husband ever benefited from insider trading. Charge him and find out. What did they charge Mart? They went after Martha Stewart. They went after Martha Stewart without any proof. She did 5 months. No, I watch an explicit documentary. No, 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 no. I'm saying she was targeted, and that's the problem in a lot of the Justice Department stuff. Who they go after? James Comey was. I think James Comey is a stiff. I think he's a joke. The former FBI. Me personally, I think he's a. Everyone. I think Comey was a joke. I'm glad Trump fired him, but I'm just saying I watched they had deposition records of the evidence that the jury was considering, and they decided that Martha Stewart wasn't telling the truth, that she dumped her stock. But she was only sitting before a jury because they charged her. No, you were one of the best. You. No, here's my question. You were one of the best, and you were a very good investigator. I mean that sincerely, and I consider you a brother. But here's a question. You mentioned Mueller. He was appointed, yes, special prosecutor. 12 forensic people on his team for 2 years combed through everything about Trump, the family, the sons, the meetings. They put a forensic thing on him for alleged Russia collusion. They got Michael Cohen. You're telling me that if you did that for 2 years on half the members in the United States Senate over their tax returns, Federal Election Commission statements, and Nancy Pelosi on insider trading, that you couldn't find something to indict half those people? I'm reflecting the mood. Brad, I'm reflecting the mood. Okay, I'll let you. I'll let you go. All right, good stuff, Brad Card. Thank you. I think I reflect the person who's driving a truck today and he's delivering concrete, or she is, and they have to work for a living, and they see crap and they see lies and they see through it. And people who defend Washington are usually the ones that benefit and profit from it. Off the record, on the record. Hey Google, hey Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Back in a few. Well, we know the president's in Africa. John Decker, our own White House correspondent, talking about Biden's legacy. And I think it's hard not to talk about that without mentioning, or to talk about that without mentioning the pardoning of Hunter Biden after Biden said he wouldn't do that. John, good morning. The press secretary, I would have been more respectful yesterday if she just said, look, I was lied to and I lied to you and I'm sorry. That would have been a good answer. But John, good morning. Right. Yep. Do you think he's done? No, I know presidents pardon. I remember Bill Clinton pardoned his, I don't know if it was his half brother or whatever over cocaine charges. I think if I have my history right. I mean, there's all kinds of pardons. George W. Bush pardoned a lot of people. President. I mean, I don't know the numbers. So he's not done with pardons. You think he pardons any more members of the Biden family? Now, John, you and I know people, I think, John Decker, have very short memories. I think if you talk to champions in sports, once they've no longer been the champion, I remember once going to a hockey game with a couple of former Bruins, and one of them was recognized by a young fan going up the elevator. And I said, you were so gracious and nice to that young fan. He goes, Jack, I'm lucky he knows who the heck I am or was. But in politics, legacies are very important to people like Joe Biden and presidents. My question is 5, 10 years from now, it's impossible to say, but if things stay as they are, do people remember Biden too old, too confused, forced out, didn't do the nomination? That was the year Harris lost. Or do they remember stuff like this? Or what does this do to his legacy? He's doing what a father would do, but I would have respected him if he just said that. Look at I told you I wasn't going to do this. Sorry to keep my word. He's my son. I don't want him going to jail. I've lost enough people in my life. I'm going to do what I'm going to do as a father. You may not like it. I'm sorry I'm doing it. I would have respected that. But what do you think this does to Biden's legacy? Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's interesting. And again, the other thing that I think is fragile here, and I'm not sure until we get into the Trump new administration, but I think people in Washington do not understand, and you're there a lot as a White House correspondent, and you've been there and you've done stuff in the Supreme Court, John Decker. But I don't think people like in Congress or lobbyists and administration people realize how the customers out here have lost faith overall in Washington, which is not a good thing, by the way. And I just wonder, when they look at double standards, when they look at this and they see like people like Nancy Pelosi, how much money the Pelosi have made, whether it's legit or not, I think people feel like that Oliver Anthony song, Rich Men North of Richmond. And I think that's too bad. And John Decker, I haven't asked you, but one of the first interviews she did after being called and getting the press secretary from New Hampshire, Caroline Levitt, was on. I even asked you as a White House correspondent. I know we don't know yet because she may have a very difficult job as well. I think since Marlon Fitzwater or some of the, I'm trying to think of Bill Clinton's, Dee Dee Myers, tough job being press secretary of the president today. But how do you think Caroline Levitt will shape up and do? Wow. Wow. John Decker, own White House correspondent. Thank you, John. Make it a good Tuesday. Yeah. So Friday was Black Friday shopping. Yesterday was Cyber Monday. Like $13 billion was supposedly going to be transacted. And today's Giving Tuesday. And believe me, with the nonprofit support we do at the Pulse of an Age Mini Media throughout the year, including our recent Caring and Sharing 2-day drive for 26 area nonprofits and 24 food pantries, most of them have a food pantry mission. And then, of course, our veterans advocacy with Make 12 Hours Count. I never downplay supporting. I'm always amazed at the generosity of our listeners and our business owners and our independent business owners to support the community. I really am. But I just look at so today's Giving Tuesday, and you do this after all these people spend so much money. I'm like, who put that one in the third day of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then Giving Tuesday? I don't know. Give people a break for a few weeks. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Shaq, Heath, J-Dog on the board, 6 Hour Studios Thursday. We'll be in Portsmouth live at Great Bay Spa and Sauna. Come by. They're beautiful, beautiful showroom. Giving away a brand new hot tub to a worthy veteran. And, remember, less than 1% serve 300 and was about 40 million very opinionated, very entitled Americans. Thursday, Great Bay Spa and Sauna, our Hot Tubs for Heroes, the giveaway. It's going to be fun to do. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an Itch. Back in a few. We are back. We are back on this Tuesday. Not a bad looking Tuesday. Things actually, going to get a little chilly in the morning. I noticed in the 20s, but it's been chill. It was even where Brad Card joined us from Washington this morning. It was just about 30. So in the 20s, we looking at some snow flurries, especially the northern tier. But tomorrow night into Thursday morning, a little bit of snow, enough to remember to slow down, especially in the late night when the ground gets cold and freezing into the morning. Slow down. We've seen way, way too many accidents, fatal accidents out there. And we're going to hear from the state police on Thursday morning, brought to you by AutoFair. Just a reminder that people seem to forget. We all have short memories today. We see people seem to forget things that we know to be true. And when it gets, especially in the morning and night, when it's the precipitation, the rain, the snow is freezing, it gets slippery. And vehicles don't stop on a dime. I don't care what kind of vehicle you have or how good of a driver. Slow down. We've seen way too many fatal accidents this year in New Hampshire. I think we're going to end up, sad to say, at or about, I don't know where we are today, but after a couple in the last week or two and people driving the wrong way in the interstate and just crazy stuff, probably close to 130 people losing their lives out there in this year. We're not even through the year yet. So please. So Thursday morning, we'll have that. I'm just going to come back to a point that I don't, because Brad Card had, he kind of he thought it was funny for me to bring up, a TV show like Law and Order or Blue Bloods. But when you see shows about these district attorneys' offices, you see the subjectivity of investigative powers. It's just the way it is. You don't have, it's not a book or you put in everyone, it has to be a decision that the person who's prosecuting makes to go after someone. It's just the way it is. And I stand by all my points in the Martha Stewart case when they went after her. Because probably she was a woman and she'd become a billionaire and kicked the butts of men on Wall Street, which I think most people should have been clapping, and went public and beat all the odds on her own. And no one gave it to her. Martha Stewart is tough as nails. She worked hard. She had a tough upbringing with her family and father and a tough relationship with her daughter because she's just tough as nails. And Martha Stewart was a perfectionist. I'm not going to go on and on and on. I love her. As I was thinking last time, I'm going to reach out to her media folks. I love her on the show. J-Dog, how old is she now? In her 80s, I think, Martha Stewart. I think she just was on Sports Illustrated on the oldest ever on the cover. But she's over 80, and she had a house up in Maine and, New Jersey. I mean, just an amazing landscaper, gardens, living, cooking. And she 83 years old, not as happy as it all seems. Nothing is that perfect, living magazine. She could do those dinners, but it doesn't mean those were her. Her family times might not have been as good as yours, but she fought, and the whole, the time she did her deal with Kmart, everyone was laughing at her until she laughed at them all the way to the bank because she was bringing nicer things to the Kmart shoppers. But why did she get targeted for a stock deal? When there's not even any evidence that she received black and white insider trader information from the founder of that company, her friend, to sell. When she did, she sold $45,000 in stock and did 5 years. I'm sorry, 5 months, big difference. 5 months, 150 days in prison. And I'm sorry, but when you look at Washington and you look at the members of the Senate, for example, or the House, probably more the Senate, because that's where you have 6-year terms and you'll get the 4-term. Of course, you remember Menendez from New Jersey sleeping on the gold bars and the pillows from other countries. He got nailed, and that's a good thing. But I'm looking at half the people. And, the thing, like the people that just don't like Donald Trump, they think all these investigations and trials and indictments have all been justified. And I can tell you, I think 78 to probably 80% are, to me, a political witch hunt because he's Donald Trump. And they've been after him since the beginning. And I think the whole Russia collusion 2-year special probe was a bunch of crap based on lies from political adversaries, and the FBI went and got FISA warrants. So you can't don't sit here and tell me that politics doesn't enter justice. I could go back to Jack Kennedy. That's not a conspiracy theory. Read your damn history and know your facts before you say stuff like, "Oh, conspiracy theory." If Jack Kennedy were alive today, but his head was blown off, and we can read into that later, he'd tell you. J. Edgar Hoover, the head of the FBI, was after him from the moment he became president, bugging his hotel room as a sitting president of the United States. He was battling the FBI director, going after Kennedy to control the Kennedys, to blackmail the Kennedys. Kennedy had so much distrust injustice. He brought in his own brother, Bobby Kennedy, to be the attorney general. I mean, how extreme is that? You bring in your own brother because you don't trust anyone? So I'm just going to go through the course of history. You could even bring up Bill Clinton and Louis Freeh. Ask Clinton if he felt the FBI wasn't after him unfairly. I mean, the president's tangling with the Justice Department is not new. But I'm going to tell you that all the lightning fast speed of prosecutions and indictments from federal grand juries to get Trump, I've never seen this. I mean, they went after him. You know what? Let's just step back from the plate and cut the political BS for a minute. Just common sense. And I'm sorry, but it is relevant to bring up Hillary Clinton and her laptop that she destroyed and transported from the State Department to New York. Should have been charged and convicted, was not. And it took a long time. Hunter Biden should have been charged and convicted 8 to 10 years ago. Most of us would have been. He was not. There was an IRS whistleblower within the federal agency saying we need a criminal investigation on Hunter Biden for these unpaid $2 million in taxes. And someone decided not to do that. Why? You go after someone for, a late return for $5,000. You don't go after $2 million. Someone looked the other way. The banking stuff, the money laundering charges, Burisma. I mean, do you want me to go on? And why did it take years to decide whether or not to go after Hunter Biden? Years, not months. And yet in weeks, you can go after Trump and get an indictment to search his home, Mar-a-Lago, to go after him for New York business stuff, to go after him on January 6th, the classified documents, to go after him. And they went after him. I think they've been going after him the entire time. And they get the lightning fast returns on indictments, but you can't make a decision on Hunter Biden. It takes years before he finally. And by the way, if a judge had not overturned the plea bargain agreement he was about to get, Hunter Biden would have never been convicted on the gun stuff or the tax stuff. And I got to tell you, you can tell me all day long that not a lot of people get charged for that gun application violation, but if they do, they're going to jail. So Hunter Biden clearly got favorable preferential treatment from someone, because they could have nailed him years ago, and they knew about it. So look at the history. There's an Empower Oversight Watch group that has it going back 2018 November, and even before that on Hunter Biden. They had the investigative information, and no one ever went forward with it because Biden was the sitting vice president, 2-term Obama administration, and then presidential candidate, now president. So I'm just saying there is this clear feeling out there of distrust, which is not good for our justice system. For most people that work for a living, that feel that it depends on who you know in Washington, who you know politically, and you might be able to skate and not get nailed. And what Joe Biden just did after lying to the American people makes that worse. That double standard of justice, that feeling that if you're connected and you get all these connections, you don't get nailed, but I do. And that's just not good. And it's not the rank and file people in these agencies. It's the people at the top, and it is subjective and it's wrong. And Trump's going to go in maybe too much. He's going to go the other way and try and clean it out and go after people with a political bias. And you can say it's just going after his people that he wants to go after. And I'm not saying that's good either, but I am saying there is a definite feeling of most people out there that things don't add up. And they can point to Hillary Clinton. They can point to Hunter Biden. I can point to Nancy Pelosi. You can tell me, you tell me your husband's that good of a stockbroker? Give me a break. Give me a break. She was House Speaker twice, and he's been, you look at the sales he did close to certain votes in Congress of what they were going to subsidize, like the computer chip, American, and all of a sudden you make a buy or a sell on that, and your spouse is head of the committee or speaker. You tell me that doesn't stink. I mean, they went after Martha Stewart for a lot less, and she did 5 months. I'm just saying it doesn't add up. And that's not conspiracy theory. That is common sense. Hey, Google, Alexa, play The Pulse of an Age. 603-228-2080. So we come back, we're going to go live to Hampton Beach. A little chilly there this morning. Alicia Preston Xanthopoulos, Seacoast Online. And the New Hampshire Ski Show. What's that all about? Mike Cody attended that as the ski and boarding industry. Skiers, let's just say that. I think Mad River, Glen, and Vermont still, it's only skiers, no borders. I'm just kidding. I'm just in one of those moods on a Tuesday. We're going to hear from Mike. We're also Rory O'Neill, NBC News Radio national correspondent. He's saying, buy some of those big goods now, big expensive goods now if you're worried about tariffs. We're looking at a pretty nice looking Tuesday. Jack Heath, the illustrious one, J-Dog on the board, 6 Hour Studios back, top of the 10.